I have with me CMD of SIDBI, Mr. S Ramann. Welcome to ET Now. My first question to you regarding your lending book. I also understand that there has been certain kind of direction which came from Finance Ministry on increasing this book, and overall, what are your plans for expanding your business?
So thanks. We are here today at the Global SME Finance Forum. This is for the first time that this forum, which is an international body controlled under the World Bank Group, so it's working along with the IFC, which is within the World Bank Group. So, of course, many banks in India are members of the SME Finance Forum, but I think it's a proud moment for us to be able to host this in India. And we are doing it at a time when the G20 presidency is with India, and we also have an upcoming important G20 meeting of the finance ministers, which is happening later this week in Bombay. So we have now scheduled this SME Finance Forum just before the meeting of the ministers. So on the 14th, we will have the G20 delegates also joining the SME Finance Forum, and therefore it is treated as a side event of the G20. So this is really the context of this entire event that is taking place over here.
So this meeting, sorry for interruption, you talked about G20 meeting, which is leaders meeting concluded last week. But in this particular meeting, what will be the agenda and role of...
So this is a meeting of the ministers, of the finance ministers, is taking place later this week in Bombay.
Okay.
So I think it's on 15th or 16th.
Yes, 14th to 16th.
Right. So our final day will be on the 14th, where we will have G20 delegates joining, and there'll be a special session for the G20 delegates.
Understood. And we were talking about the business of SIDBI per se. What are your plans of expansion, and are you planning to increase your lending book, and what are the efforts which has been taken by the company?
No, that's right. So we have a clear mandate to be able to push as much credit to the MSME sector. Now we are doing this in two ways. Traditionally, the refinance book has always been much larger, and therefore, if I look at the total balance sheet of about 4 lakh crores as of March 23. The refinance book is about 92%, and 8% is direct finance. But what we really want to do is improve and increase our reach for the direct finance, which is roughly in two parts. One is the formal SMEs, which typically we do from our branches. We have about 80 branches today. We are planning to go up to about 105 branches in the next couple of months. So that process is already underway.
So 25 branches increase.
Correct. Okay. And second, we have a very large number of very micro and small entities in the country, which typically even will be the street vendor and that entire segment, which are also under MSME. So for that segment, we need to have special schemes where we reach bank finance to them, because typically they don't get bank finance. PM Swanidhi was a brilliant scheme where for the first time such people got bank finance. Now that was driven by the government, and therefore it has proved to everybody that these people can get money from the banks, and they are also repaying the money to the banks. So this has been a very good experiment, especially during the time of COVID. So taking a leaf out of that book, we have now created a special scheme called Prayas, where we are giving typically 1 lakh rupees. It can be from 50,000 to 5 lakh, but typically the size is about 1 lakh. And we have given this to about 100,000 such small entities or micro entities, may I say. So this has also shown that we have the ability with partners on the ground to be able to reach out to many more people with rates which are much lower than typically what the NBFCs would be giving. So this is our special focus that we have now taken upon ourselves, using of course the entire digital stack. So I think as a country we're very fortunate to have the DPI, the digital public infrastructure. So we are riding on that in every possible way to be able to make our money reach to a much wider segment and an underserved segment.
Understood. So how much is the current book, and when you say you are reaching to wider customers, how much you plan to reach there?
So on this particular program, which is Prayas, we plan to take it. So last year we did 1,000 crores by giving money to about 80,000 customers, of which 75% were women. We plan to take that to about 10,000 crores by increasing the number of partners.
So
now
10,000 crore is
just for the Prayas program,
okay.
where we're talking about a
Understood.
lakh as the loan size. So that is something which we feel is our duty, and we are taking it forward. And in that process, we are mitigating risks by getting more and more into various data points. So how to get more and more data points about these people. We find that many of them are using bank accounts where receipts of their business are coming into the bank account. So we are now using the account aggregator framework, pulling the bank account data, and therefore making ourselves a little more assured about what is the kind of revenue streams that they have. Secondly, what is the alternate data that is available? So that is the other way we are asking our partners on the ground to pick up more data points regarding their assets, regarding their household income, etc., so that we can strengthen our ability to assess the risk and therefore start pushing in more loans. This is one of the most important programs we've undertaken. Second, in the formal sector, when I say it is basically GST based lending, we have created something called Fit Rank. Fit Rank has been created by SIBIL and OPL together under our mentorship, and we have now created and tested very rigorously a score which runs from 1 to 10, and this score involves 3 data points: GST, ITR and bank statement.
Okay.
So given the rigorous testing that we did, because OPL had a lot of applications that came on the OPL marketplace, so we took those applications and tested for those applications, and therefore we have come up with this score. Today SIDBI is giving out machinery loans of up to 3 crores without any human intervention, because if a borrower has these data points, if they add up and they are above the threshold of my Fit Rank, they also are above the threshold of the CMR score, which is the repayment score. And we also have a separate score where we do a deep dive on the GST data, and many more other factors are also brought in from the GST data. So using the help of fintechs, what we have created is a simple BRE, or business rule engine. If you pass the business rule engine, you will get a loan within 15 minutes.
Understood.
So this is how we hope to increase our volume of credit to
Understood.
the what I call the formal sector, where we have the data and we exploit the data fully, and we therefore push much more credit. So this is the other way we hope to increase our direct lending.
Understood.
Based on purely digital lending. Of course, our branch lending has the benefit of all these digital points. So today in India, we are completely paperless in our lending to SME. So our branches, you will find there is absolutely no paper. So we are, managing to reduce our costs plus increase our credit outflow.
But you didn't mention about the numbers. I was asking, if in absolute terms, is there any internal target which you have with all the means which you have mentioned?
Correct. So we are aggressively looking at increasing the direct finance book. So today it's about 20,000 crores. We hope to be at about 50,000 crores.
Okay.
Now that if it happens within this year, I think it's it'll be great. We hope to take it to 1 lakh crores in about 2 years' time.
Okay, so 1 lakh, meaning 5 times in next
In about
2 to 3 years.
3 years, correct.
That's an ambitious target. But for that, how are you getting capital? Is there any plan for that as well?
You're right. So, as a lender, we will need to increase our capital, and for which the Standing Committee on Finance has already recommended that the capital of SIDBI be increased, because SIDBI needs to now, more aggressively help the MSME sector. So this is in discussion with the DFS, and I think probably in the next financial year, we hope that we'll be able to increase the capital. So with an increased capital, then the multiple of our borrowing also will go up.
Definitely. That is interrelated.
Correct.
But for the current year, is there any issue which is planned, which is under works?
So I'm not, sort of putting a timeline to it. It's not possible to do that, but the discussions are certainly on, and whether it happens this year or in the next financial year, but we hope that we will be able to increase
the capital. Will it be rights issue or something?
It should be a rights issue, because we have more than 22 shareholders, which are all in the public sector space. So government holds about 21% in SIDBI. So I think across all the stakeholders, we should be able to, bring in a rights issue.
And how much will be the quantum of that?
So the target, of course, is 5,000 crores in the first tranche, and then another 5,000 crores thereafter. So this is again going by the recommendation of the Standing
So
Committee
this can
of
be
Finance.
quarterly or yearly, you're saying?
No. So this will be in 2 tranches, maybe over 5 years.
Okay,
So
understood. And there
so
could be
even-
other means as well.
So capital will probably end up being through this route. We are not really looking at, diluting the stake of our current shareholders. So, we would probably end up, going back to our current shareholders and seeking money.
How are you placed with the cost of funds? I mean, is there a challenge on that front?
So that's always a challenge. I think cost of funds is something that as bankers we have to, be smart and be able to continuously look for different sources of funding. But given the way the market is, we hope that, sort of the increase in interest rates will probably, come
Right.
to an end. And of course, we are competitive when we come to our lending rates. So, what we are really trying to do is, given the fact that we have a cost of funds which is probably a little higher than that of a regular commercial bank, because we don't have
Right.
the current account and savings account, but our operations are such that being completely digitized, our cost of operations will certainly come down. And
Understood.
therefore, given the way that we are moving ahead, we should be able to push out more credit at a, sort of lower unit cost. So we hope that, and plus, our profit margins, we're not a listed company. We don't have, the compulsions of a, sort of stock market, taking our share price up and down. So, in that way.
Is there any plan for that as well?
No, we are a DFI and we will, remain a, sort of steady DFI. But the point is, our profit margin is not something that we need to really
Right.
worry about. We have to be profitable because that's the
Of
only way
course.
we can grow. But, whether it is, sort of 2% or 1.5% or, it's not something that we are unduly worried. For us to serve the segment is more important. I think that is really our duty.
अभी मैं बस आखिरी के 1-2 सवाल पूछूंगा हिंदी में, और खासकर ईटीना और स्वदेश के दर्शकों के लिए। एक तो आपने जो बात की ओकेन प्लेटफॉर्म की, जिसपे ऑलरेडी काम चल रहा है, हमने देखा है कि पिछले कुछ महीनों से या फिर इनफैक्ट साल से उस पे अलग अलग तरीके के एक्सपेरिमेंट्स हुए हैं। हम कहाँ तक यहाँ पे पहुंचे हैं और कितना जल्दी होगा कि जो ओकेन प्लेटफॉर्म है, जहाँ पे पायलट टेस्टिंग चल रही थी, वो फाइनली फ्लोर पे होगा और वो एसएमईज उसको यूज कर पाएंगे और बैंक्स भी यूज कर पाएंगे?
हाँ, तो ये ओकेन प्लेटफॉर्म का दूसरा नाम है जीएसटी सहाय। तो ये जीएसटी सहाय के तहत हम लोगों ने ऑलरेडी इसको लॉन्च कर दी है। बाकी बैंकों को भी हम लोगों ने इस रेफरेंस ऐप जो हम लोगों ने बनाया था वो ऑलरेडी शेयर कर चुके हैं हम। बट अपनी जो सिडबी में करीब 200 के करीब अपने कस्टमर्स के साथ ये इसकी ऑलरेडी टेस्टिंग हो चुकी है। ये भी एक बिल्कुल एंड टू एंड डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म है। इनफैक्ट ज्यादातर मोबाइल से ही चलती है और जो हम लोगों की इनिशियल रिजल्ट्स हैं वो बहुत ही अच्छी रही हैं।
तो अभी ये पायलट फेज में है या फिर लॉन्च हो गया?
अब इसको हम लोग अपने कस्टमर्स के साथ तो ऑलरेडी इसको आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं।
ओके।
सो नए कस्टमर्स को कैसे लाना है वो एक अलग से एक सवाल है उसमें, क्योंकि आपकी मार्केटिंग रीच कहाँ तक जा सकती है उस पर निर्भर है। बट ज्यादातर हम लोगों को ये दिख रहा है कि छोटे एसएमईज जो हैं उनको वर्किंग कैपिटल नहीं मिलती है बैंक से। तो ये वर्किंग कैपिटल का एक सब्स्टिट्यूट हो जाता है कि आपने अपना इनवॉइस जीएसटी सहाय पे आपने चढ़ा दिया, उसको आपकी फाइनेंसिंग हो जाती है, तो उनकी वर्किंग कैपिटल इमीडिएटली उनके हाथ में आ जाती है।
बिल्कुल।
सो दिस इज हाउ ये एक, मान लीजिए, एक डिसरप्टिव टेक्नोलॉजी के तौर से ये होपफुली।
इस पे अभी क्या काम होना बाकी है, अगर आप बता सकें? कुछ ऐसे लूप होल्स हैं जो अभी प्लग होने बाकी हैं?
नहीं, इसमें सबसे कठिन जो बात थी कि वो एनपीसीआई की जो ई-नैच है उस पे काफी टेस्टिंग हुई थी और अपने कस्टमर की जो जर्नी है वो उसकी यूएक्स वगैरह जो कस्टमर जर्नी है उस पे कुछ इम्प्रूवमेंट्स चाहिए, बट अदरवाइज वी आर गुड टू गो।
ओके, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया एंड ऑल द बेस्ट। ये जो नया प्लेटफॉर्म के बारे में आपने एसएमईज के लिए बताया, क्योंकि ये एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म हो सकता है आगे के लिए जो यूपीआई जैसा मूवमेंट हो।
थैंक यू।
थैंक यू सो मच।